What's up, WrestleScope Nation? And listen, before you click away, before you scroll past this video, I need you to hear me out because what I'm about to tell you is going to shake the very foundation of everything you thought you knew about WWE. We're talking about Roman Reigns potentially walking out of WWE, Brock Lesnar's career hanging by a thread, Drew McIntyre's future in serious jeopardy, and R-Truth finally breaking his silence on matters that could change everything. And I've got receipts, I've got sources, and I've got information that WWE does not want you to know about. So buckle up, hit that like button right now if you're ready for the truth. And let me tell you something. By the end of this video, you're going to be furious at what's happening behind those corporate curtains. Let's get into it. All right, let's address the elephant in the room that has the entire wrestling world in absolute chaos right now. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the head of the table, the man who carried WWE through the pandemic era, who elevated the Universal Championship to legendary status, who gave us one of the greatest heel runs in modern wrestling history, might be done with WWE. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, this is just another clickbait rumor. But hold on, because the evidence is stacking up, and it's getting harder and harder to ignore. First off, let's talk about Roman's contract situation. Multiple sources close to the situation have confirmed that Roman's current deal is approaching its expiration date. And here's where it gets interesting. Negotiations have reportedly hit a massive roadblock. We're talking about disagreements over schedule, creative control, and most importantly, the kind of money that reflects Roman's true value to the company. Think about this for a second. Roman Reigns has been the franchise player for WWE for nearly a decade. He main evented more WrestleManias than anyone in the modern era. He drew money, he moved merchandise. He was the guy when WWE needed him most. And now, when it's time to pay the man what he's worth, when it's time to give him the respect and the contract that matches his contributions, WWE is playing hardball. This is exactly the kind of corporate nonsense that drives me insane. You have a once-in-a-generation talent, a legitimate megastar who transcends wrestling, and you're going to nickel and dime him? You're going to treat him like he's just another interchangeable part on your roster? But here's where it gets even more infuriating. According to insider reports, Roman has been increasingly frustrated with the creative direction since WrestleMania. The loss of the titles, the breakup of the Bloodline storyline, the way his character has been booked in recent months, it's been a mess, and Roman knows it. He's smart enough to see when his character is being mishandled, and he's not afraid to speak up about it. Now, some reports suggest that Roman wants a part-time schedule, similar to what Brock Lesnar has enjoyed over the years. And you know what? He's earned it. The man has worked his tail off for this company. He battled through leukemia twice and came back stronger each time. He carried shows on his back. He elevated every single person he stepped in the ring with. If anyone deserves to work a reduced schedule and still get paid like the main event star he is, it's Roman Reigns. But here's the kicker. WWE brass, according to sources, is resistant to giving Roman that kind of deal because they're worried it sets a precedent. They're worried that if they give Roman a sweetheart deal, everyone else is going to want one. Well, guess what, WWE? Maybe they should. Maybe if you treated your top talent like the valuable assets they are, you wouldn't have this constant carousel of people leaving for other promotions. And speaking of other promotions, the elephant in the room that no one at WWE wants to acknowledge, AEW would absolutely throw everything they have at Roman Reigns if he became available. Tony Khan would back up the money truck for Roman. And honestly, could you blame Roman if he took that deal? Could you blame him for wanting to work less dates, make more money, and actually have some creative freedom? The frustration among fans is real, people. I've seen your comments. I've seen the tweets. You're sick and tired of watching WWE fumble the bag with their biggest stars. It happened with CM Punk. It happened with Jon Moxley. It happened with so many others. And now it might happen with Roman Reigns? This is the guy who made "Acknowledge Me" a global catchphrase. This is the guy who turned the Bloodline into the most compelling storyline WWE had produced in years. This is the guy who proved that when WWE actually commits to long-term storytelling, magic happens. And now, because of corporate stubbornness, because of penny pinching, because of whatever backstage politics are at play, we might lose him? Now, while we're on the subject of WWE completely dropping the ball, let's talk about Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate, the conqueror, a legitimate combat sports athlete who became one of the biggest draws in WWE history. His career might be over, and the circumstances around it are absolutely disgusting. For those who might not know the full story, Brock Lesnar's name came up in connection with the Vince McMahon lawsuit scandal. Now, let me be crystal clear here. Brock has not been charged with any wrongdoing. He has not been accused of any illegal activity, but his name appeared in legal documents, and WWE's response, they've effectively erased him from television. This is where I need you to think critically for a moment. Brock Lesnar is one of the biggest legitimate tough guys to ever step foot in a WWE ring. UFC heavyweight champion, NCAA Division I wrestling champion, a genetic freak of nature who could legitimately hurt anyone on the planet. And WWE
WWE is treating him like he's radioactive because his name appeared in legal documents related to someone else's alleged misconduct. The man is 46 years old. He's in the twilight of his career. And instead of getting the legendary send-off he deserves, instead of getting one final WrestleMania moment, one final championship run, one final opportunity to pass the torch to the next generation, he's sitting at home in Saskatchewan wondering if his career is just going to end with a whimper rather than a bang. This is infuriating on so many levels. First of all, whatever Vince McMahon allegedly did has nothing to do with Brock Lesnar. Brock was a contractor who showed up, did his job at an elite level, and went home to his farm. He wasn't involved in WWE's corporate structure. He wasn't making decisions about how the company was run. He was a performer. But here's what really grinds my gears. WWE is perfectly happy to use Brock when they need a big draw. They're perfectly happy to have him main event WrestleMania, to have him break the Undertaker streak, to have him be the final boss that their chosen stars have to overcome. But the second there's even a hint of controversy, even when Brock isn't accused of anything, they drop him like yesterday's garbage. The hypocrisy is staggering. This is the same company that has employed and pushed people who have actual legal issues. But Brock, whose only crime was being mentioned in legal documents, gets blacklisted? Make it make sense. And let's talk about what this means for Brock's legacy. This man is a guaranteed Hall of Famer. He's a multiple-time WWE champion, Universal Champion, Royal Rumble winner. He's had legendary matches with everyone from Kurt Angle to Roman Reigns to AJ Styles. His match with Daniel Bryan at Survivor Series was a technical masterpiece. His matches with Roman gave us some of the most hard-hitting action WWE has produced in years. But now, instead of going out on his own terms, instead of having that one final match where he can handpick his opponent and go out with his head held high, his career might just end. No fanfare, no ceremony, no proper goodbye, just silence. And you know who suffers from this? The fans. We suffer because we don't get closure. We suffer because one of the most dominant forces in WWE history doesn't get a proper send-off. We suffer because WWE's corporate cowardice means we're robbed of potentially amazing moments. Can you imagine Brock Lesnar passing the torch to Gunther? Imagine that Hoss fight. Can you imagine one final clash between Brock and Bobby Lashley where they just beat the hell out of each other? Can you imagine Brock putting over someone like Braun Breaker or another young monster talent on the biggest stage possible? Those moments might never happen now. And why? Not because Brock did anything wrong, not because fans don't want to see him, but because WWE is more concerned with optics and corporate image than they are with giving fans what they want and giving legends what they've earned. This isn't just about Brock Lesnar. This is about a pattern of WWE treating their talent as disposable. This is about a company that has no loyalty to the people who made them billions of dollars, and it should make every fan furious. Alright, now let's pivot to someone who should be one of WWE's biggest stars, but somehow stuck in absolute limbo. Drew McIntyre, the Scottish Warrior, the Chosen One, a guy who checked every single box that WWE supposedly looks for in a top star, and yet here we are. Drew's situation might be the most frustrating of everything we're discussing today because it represents wasted potential on a level that should be criminal. This man is 6'5", he's jacked, he can work his butt off in the ring, he can cut promos, he has a great look, he connects with the crowd, and WWE has absolutely no idea what to do with him. Let me paint you a picture of just how badly WWE has fumbled Drew McIntyre. This is a guy who won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 36. He defeated Brock Lesnar to win that title. He was being positioned as the guy to carry WWE through the pandemic. And what happened? They completely cooled him off. They booked him in meaningless feuds, they had him lose repeatedly, they took all the momentum he had built and flushed it down the toilet. Now, recent reports suggest that Drew is seriously contemplating his future with WWE. His contract situation is murky, and there's legitimate speculation that he might be looking at his options outside the company. And you know what? I don't blame him one bit. Think about what Drew has gone through. He got fired from WWE in 2014, went out, reinvented himself, became a star on the independent scene, came back to WWE, worked his way back up from scratch, finally reached the mountaintop, and then WWE just forgot about him? They moved on to the next thing? That's not how you treat someone who did everything you asked them to do. The Drew McIntyre situation is symptomatic of a much bigger problem in WWE, and this is where I need you all to really pay attention because this affects everyone on that roster. WWE has this nasty habit of building someone up, getting them to the top, and then immediately moving on to the next shiny object. They don't know how to maintain stars. They don't know how to keep people hot once they've reached the main event level. Look at what's happened to Drew since he lost the WWE Championship. He's been in feuds with Jinder Mahal, with Happy Corbin, with Karrion Kross, feuds that no one cared about, feuds that did nothing for his character, feuds that made people forget why they cared about Drew in the first place. And the most frustrating part, Drew has been vocal about his frustrations. He's done interviews where he's basically said, I'm ready to be the guy again, just give me the opportunity. He's shown in matches that he can still go at the absolute highest level. His feud with Roman Reigns showed that he can hang with the best of them, but WWE continues to book him like he's just another upper mid-card guy. What really gets me angry about this situation, Drew McIntyre represents everything that's wrong with WWE's booking philosophy. They build stars to feed them to their chosen ones. Drew was built up to lose to Roman. He was built up to make Bobby Lashley look good. He was built up to put over other people, but who is building him? Who is protecting him? Who is making sure that Drew McIntyre remains a viable main event star? Nobody, that's who. And now reports suggest that Drew might be looking at the same kind of deal that Roman wants, or he might be looking at leaving entirely. There are rumors, strong rumors, that AEW has already reached out to Drew's camp. There are whispers that if Drew becomes available, Tony Khan would back up the money truck for Drew. And honestly, could you blame Drew if he took that deal? Could you blame him for wanting to work less dates, make more money, and actually have some creative freedom? The frustration among fans is real, people. I've seen your comments. I've seen the tweets. You're sick and tired of watching WWE fumble the bag with their biggest stars. It happened with CM Punk. It happened with Jon Moxley. It happened with so many others. And now it might happen with Roman Reigns. This is the guy who made "Acknowledge Me" a global catchphrase. This is the guy who turned the Bloodline into the most compelling storyline WWE had produced in years. This is the guy who proved that when WWE actually commits to long-term storytelling, magic happens. And now, because of corporate stubbornness, because of penny pinching, because of whatever backstage politics are at play, we might lose him? Now, while we're on the subject of WWE completely dropping the ball, let's talk about Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate, the conqueror, a legitimate combat sports athlete who became one of the biggest draws in WWE history. His career might be over, and the circumstances around it are absolutely disgusting. For those who might not know the full story, Brock Lesnar's name came up in connection with the Vince McMahon lawsuit scandal. Now, let me be crystal clear here. Brock has not been charged with any wrongdoing. He has not been accused of any illegal activity, but his